right, welcome back. Episode 56 of the Young Old Heads podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tommy, aka TV Sports Cards, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Max, aka Cards Max, aka Cards Max Raw Review DCI 8.5. No guarantee that this card will get that same grade at PSA edition. Max, how are you doing?
What the fuck is a DCI?
Well, luckily, we have a guy here who we will ask no questions about DCI for the most part. A man who needs no introduction, who's been on enough card podcasts where if you want to hear his origin story, you go listen to those other podcasts. Don't listen to this one. Jason Dardick. How are you doing, Jason?
Man, I'm excellent. Cards Jason, as you might know me. I've kind of developed a huge following, tweeting eBay affiliate links and underpriced wax deals under that name. So if you're familiar with that, that's where it comes from. If you've seen me before. But anyways, yeah, no, thank you guys for the unbelievable introduction. So happy to be here. I've seen the past guest list on some of your shows, and I'm immediately number one. So that's great. I mean, I think this is huge for you guys as well. Like, I'm so happy to be here, but not only for me, but for your guys' show. So here we go.
Well, you are the number one, and if the rankings were oldest guest, I think you are the oldest guest now of the Young Old Heads podcast. That counts for something.
It has to.
I'm glad you filled in when our main guest that we really wanted to have on, Eric Whiteback, declined.
Yeah.
So we had to settle for you.
That's okay. I'm used to it. I'm kind of going through the same thing with Reckless Cards right now. They tried to book me for their hobby night school. And then he sent me a text that he was sick, releases a video the next day with Nat Turner from PSA. So, I just kind of am used to that treatment from the media types these days, like you guys and some of those other guys like Reckless.
Speaking of personal media types, Jason, do you have Nat Turner's personal phone number?
I do not have Nat's phone number.
Oh, wow. I do, actually. So
that doesn't surprise me at all. I'm sure you did hours of research to find that online.
No, he
somewhere.
Gave it personally, but
okay. Well, I'm happy for you. Anybody else that you'd like to name drop before we get started?
Well, I mean, only you name dropped them on Reckless.
You're right. Yeah.
But no, Eric, Ben Haynes did DM me saying, why don't I come on your pod? And I believe your was spelled UR. So that's how I know he was taking it very seriously.
You should have him on. It sounds like he's ready to talk.
Well, there's one thing that Eric Whiteback does not know shit about, and that is early 2010s, late first decade of the 2000s baseball cards. Because we are skipping the origin story with you, Jason, I want to just dive straight into first sets that got you hooked on cards, sets that mean a lot to you that might not mean a lot to other people, weird shit that you love from that era or before. I don't know how old you are. I don't know when you started.
Nobody does. Yeah. So, I'll kind of try to tie in the origin story, if that makes sense. I got started in the hobby in 2013. I was living in Denver. I had just moved to Boulder, going to Colorado. Go Buffs, by the way. Still a huge Buffs fan, but was just a Rockies fan, big baseball fan growing up, and was just not, just interested in having cool stuff around that would related to baseball. I got lucky that it timed up with Arenado and some of these other current superstars. It was kind of their rookie year. And so I was able to kind of parlay that into my favorite thing to do in the hobby is open wax. And so really what I was doing was opening wax, selling off the cards that weren't Nolan Arenado, who was my favorite player. That was my PC. Sell off everything else just so I could keep opening more boxes. My personal collection over time kind of gained value, which allowed me to kind of start a business and be in the hobby more full time. My background before that was in restaurants, restaurant management and in the kitchen, stuff like that. And so once I was able to kind of put that behind me, and I realized that, this is what I want to do. This is more fun. Was able to do that, from my PCs, kind of selling off the PC when the market really took off in like 2019.
Nice. What was the biggest Arenado hit you had in 2013?
That I pulled personally?
Yeah, pulled personally.
I pulled a camo, which is, those are cool.
99?
Yeah, to 99 out of the flagship. And then trying to think, man, I pulled a lot of cool stuff. I mean, now, you know what I mean? It's not, they're still like $400 or $500 cards, but the Walmart and the Target, blues and reds, those were pretty common.
Yeah. What I didn't know they did camo. 2013 gotta be the first camo year, no?
That's a good question. It's around then for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you think Memorial Day camos or just camos in general out of 25, your collecting taste sucks, and I implore you to explore the camos from 2015 and earlier.
Agreed.
Don't sleep on snow camo either.
No camo.
That one hits. I am a big fan of Nolan Arenado. I'm a big fan of this card he has with Brandon Crawford. 2018 update. It's one of my favorite cards. I'm doing a little rainbow this one. This is a little Mother's Day.
Okay.
You got a Bryce Harper here too, Brandon Crawford, Nolan Arenado, some of the best dudes in the NL from that whole decade. I'm a huge fan of Arenado's game. I love that he has a gold cup, which everyone knows that I collect those shits too. But Jason, what do you collect nowadays? Like me, like modern shit. Do you collect at all modern shit or not at all?
So hold on, but let me back up real quick. That card is actually a really cool card because I think there's some story, and I might mess it up. Brandon Crawford and Arenado are actually like brother-in-law or like cousin or something like that. They have some weird family relationship. And Arenado was a giant killer too when he was with the Rockies. And so it's funny to hear you say that as a Giants fan, but that's a sweet card. And there's some connection between Crawford and Arenado that makes that card even cooler.
I know Brandon Crawford is brothers-in-law with Garrett Cole. I did not know the love triangle included Nolan Arenado.
There's really only one guy that I really hate in the NL West from that era, Jason, and that's Paul Goldschmidt, because Paul Goldschmidt ended Tim Lincecum's career, like completely ended it. I think he hit like 15, 20 home runs off Tim Lincecum in like a 2-3 year span. He's
still underappreciated in my opinion, Goldschmidt.
Yeah, for sure.
And now they're together in St. Louis. That team is terrible this year.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
I don't know. Man, to answer your question though, I don't really collect Arenado actively anymore. The only card that I'd really buy that I haven't had or don't currently have are the Heritage Red Ink autographs. That's just one that I'd like. There's only 10 of them. I've had 4 of the 10 previously at one time. And so I'm looking for those other 6 just to say I had all 10 at one point, not concurrently. Just because, I've been able to like kind of sell off and be into them for less than what they're worth each time. But then, just to be able to say I kind of like completed that print run, that's just been something I've been working on. And the fact that I found 4 is pretty impressive, I think. And like, there's a good chance I never see the other 6.
Not to hype you up too much here, Jason, but I am also intrigued about a story real quick.
Yeah.
That I didn't ask you beforehand, but you were the owner of the Nolan Arenado Platinum 101.
Correct. Yes.
Topps rookie card. Can you give us the whole story with that one? We've talked about platinums a lot, but I want to hear it from you.
Definitely. So there's a guy who's very well known in the hobby. His name's Mike Barth. He's a great guy. He was at a show set up selling some Arenados, just like some blues and the emeralds, things like that. And a customer or like somebody came into the show, saw that he had them in his display case and said, "Hey, I have these cards. Are they pretty valuable?" And Mike told him, it's a rookie card, and depending on the parallel, blah blah blah, it can bring a lot of money. And the guy who was at the time late 60s, early 70s said, "Well, I've got the 1 of 1." And so Mike, knowing the card and just being familiar with baseball cards at the time, was like, no, you don't. You know, there's no way you have it. Like, nobody's seen it. It's never surfaced. Like, there's no chance you have it. And anyways, he went back and forth with this guy who had, you know, a big baseball collection that he just had never sold off anything from. And he bought the card from the guy, and I'm sure he doesn't mind me saying he paid $1,500 for it, which is a great deal. And you know, he tracked the guy down, made him a great, you know, fair offer. They did trade and all this stuff, and he ended up getting he bought a lot more from the guy. Anyways,
so how do you get it?
So he posted a story. He posted it onto his Instagram story, and immediately like 50 people sent it to me. And like there are a couple other.
What year was this though?
This was 2019.
2019. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so this was right. So 1 week before the National, he posted on the story, and I'm like, okay, like that card. You know, he's obviously he found the card. It's for like he is making it known that it's out there, right? Not necessarily available, but all the big Nolan Arenado collectors get tagged in the post and all this stuff, and they're messaging the guy. And so I just said, dude, like, I'll just pay you whatever you need. Like, just name your price, basically. You know what I mean? And so, like, we worked together, and he told me that there was another guy who kind of made a low offer and wasn't really thrilled about the condition, and tried to, you know, lowball him. And I was just like, dude, I'll pay you what it's worth. I don't care about condition. Here's what I think it's worth based on what else I've got in my collection. I'm happy to trade and do, you know, whatever else. But basically, I told him I can't let that card go to the National, because if it goes to the National, I'll never see it again. And so I overpaid for it at the time, certainly. You know what I mean?
Can you give us the number, or
you
don't have to?
Yeah, I'd rather not, just because like, I've moved on from it now.
Yeah, you don't want the number tracking it around.
Exactly. It doesn't really matter. Mike made a great deal. We'll just say that. But he deserved it because he unearthed that card, as I like to say. You know, went to Kentucky of all places, like to go find, you know, to work with this old guy, go to his house, get the card and a bunch more. And then he was really cool with me. We stayed in touch, and he's a great guy in the hobby. So yeah, it was a fun chase. I overnighted it, you know, I wired him the money. He overnighted the card. And that was the rest of it. That was history. And then I recently sold the card about 4 months ago. So again, now my friend Austin has it. And yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, great card.
That's a cool story. I love any one-on-one story where it's like unearthed from like some dude's deep collection or someone who doesn't know shit.
Right. It's almost like what Max spends his time doing with like the vintage stuff. A basement find, or, you know. Max, weren't you digging through basements the other day?
I was not, actually. I wish New York was a premier basement digging location for baseball card collections, but there's just too many people that hunt collections in this area.
I know that there was a big discussion on Twitter about you in basements, so I don't know. I was figuring.
Yeah, that confuses me. I must have been not involved in that discussion. Do you like basements? Are you fond of them?
Sure.
We
don't have them here. We don't have them here in Texas because of the soil.
Yeah, that's classic.
Yeah.
There's too much oil down there. If you dig too deep, you're just gonna strike gold, and then you're chilling. Classic. Jason,
a huge mess. Yeah.
Not to try to hop off this like finding a rare card in a weird spot. One of the first conversations that I had with you when I was working at Athletics, going to shows, and we were just chatting it up, was about like these card shows in weird areas and how you can really find some heat from some people who just rip stuff.
And that kind of goes back to the unearthing collection. You know what I mean? And what I've found is that it's more of the hobby infrastructure, like in the, you know what I mean, in the surrounding area. If there's not a card shop for 3.5 hours, like they don't really have a way to go and sell the cards. You know, obviously selling online has changed all that. But for people who were collecting cards prior to eBay or prior to some of these other marketplaces being available, there was never that option, and they've really never put time in to figure out how to like move their cards, right? And so now they're all just sitting there, and we've been fortunate that like the RCR service can be done anywhere, right? Like we just need labels basically and some card savers. The slabbing is a little bit different because it takes a lot more machinery, things like that. But when we were really cranking on RCRs at DCI, it was so easy to go to, towns that were 100 people, you know what I mean, and set up for a day and do RCR every card in the city, you know what I mean, and then drive back to Dallas. So there are collectors everywhere. It's just, I think, the access to the infrastructure like card shops and, platforms like eBay,
That's why we need apps like Ludex out there.
Exactly.
Max, how did you and Jason meet initially?
I don't know. How did we meet? I know where I met him. Jason, would you prefer me to say it or not to say it?
I don't know where we met. Where did we meet?
You met in an Atlantic City casino.
Oh, lovely.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's fine. We can. There's nothing wrong with Atlantic City casinos.
Okay, well, sometimes you don't want to be mentioned in Atlantic City casinos. I don't know, but
in this hobby, that's it's basically an LCS.
Yeah, of course. There's some good gambling that trip. I was up $200 in blackjack. I think I loaned you $200 in cash just so that you would break even on the money, and then you called it a night. And It was overall a fun evening.
Sounds like I had a tough night that night on the tables.
Oh yeah, I mean, in that case, you had a tough night. No, it was digital slots.
No, dude, I'm just kidding. I remember we got a good picture taken and everything. I think Max and I just met through Twitter conversations probably, and then we met.
It's like through Twitter conversation, something like that. And then you're like, you mentioned something about me doing chemistry, and you're like, why are you doing chemistry? Just do cards.
Yeah, that's true. I did inspire you, didn't I?
Tangentially, I guess so.
That's amazing. Jason.
Man, I forgot you were a chemist. That's right, man. We go way back.
A lot of people forget.
Yeah. It's crazy. I have a long-standing bit on the podcast where I'm trying to convince Topps to hire Max as their lead refractor chemical or chemistry engineer, because the decrease in quality in refractors since the OG time of refractors has been really like shockingly dramatic. I feel like, has that been something that like you noticed? Was that like part of the discourse since 2013? Like every year,
refracting has definitely been worse over the years.
Hold on one second. I'm gonna grab like a silver prism from 2013 Select.
Yeah.
Do you even have a full Knicks silver prism team run in PSA?
Knicks? No.
Yeah. Are you even the only owner of a Cleanthony early silver prism PSA 10?
Okay, I've got an early silver prism from Select.
Wow.
It's like you can kind of
holding up
Those aren't one every 3 packs or anything.
No, and you can see that like the layer of refractor and like plastic is like, you can see on the top of the layer of the card, it's like a thicker surface. It's a better material.
4 inches.
It shines amazingly, like when you get it in the right light. There's nothing better than
holding a card like this. There's like no shine, and this is from 2015.
Yeah, but that's a paper card.
Yeah, it is.
Here, I'm holding up a CC Sabathia 2002.
Yeah.
Topps Chrome Refractor. Like, these things pop. The modern day ones, like, you could pass a refractor of normal Topps Chrome baseball right now. Probably not even know you hit it if you're a regular human being. Like, I pulled these back in the day. I knew that these were sweet.
Oh, 100%.
Because you saw them. You just saw them.
This kind of shines nicely, though.
Ooh. Zion. You got to stop buying John Morant and Zion.
What is that, a T-Mall?
That is a... Yeah, it's choice. It's red-green choice.
Fucking T-Mall is bullshit.
Might as well be T-Mall.
So, like, Tiger, little, like, Rar in the jungle.
You're such a hype beast, dude. Why are you buying Anthony Edwards Tiger Prisms and Zion
I'll
choice?
go back to my jersey number Soto Redding auto.
That you were just taking a bath on.
My Young Guns. Oh, okay. This is another hype beast card.
Chase Elliott quad race used auto NT.
All right. Wait, actually, Jason, no one on this podcast.
Shitty products, right? You want me to find the lowest box price for that?
Yes.
And like the shitty Sabrina Ionescu prism.
Yeah, you never tweet links that people care about. That's your issue. Is like if you put out links to NT NASCAR boxes, I'd buy them up. But
I know you will. You can't help yourself. You're a
I
little
know.
You're a little junkie.
But
Just love
Jason,
cards. I sell cards. That's what I do.
you sell cards. You also rip cards.
I do. I rip a lot of wax.
You rip a lot of wax, and you have good philosophies on wax that I think are worth telling the people about real quick. Like,
And they don't involve tops now.
And they don't involve tops now. They do involve often non big three sports ripping.
Yeah.
What's the whole philosophy there?
The entire philosophy is, long story short, how can I make up before grading or anything? How much of the box can I make up? Just from opening the box, right? If it's $100 box, I'd like to get $70 back in value before I have to grade anything, right? Because then I'm going to put more money in, blah, 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 make some money on the graded card, pay for the box, and then profit a little bit.
So it's all about the floor to you. It's not about the ceiling.
Exactly. It's all about the floor. The reason being is the volume I rip at is like the hits are in there enough. You know what I mean? Other like the stuff that I guess like another thing is that the products I rip have a far smaller like print run in general, like just total print run. And that's just because they're not as sought after. Like they're harder to move, but what I've found is that there's a lot less people who are willing to break those products in bulk than there are who are willing to buy like single cards, if that makes sense. And so like the market for the single cards and stuff, as long as you are early to that product, will be there. It's really not hard as long as you're, using the right platforms, things like that. It's one of those things where, again, if I have $1,500 to spend, I'd rather rip a case of Prism WNBA just for the odds of like what is going to, I know I'm going to get X amount of autos just based on volume, right? Numbered cards, silvers, all that stuff. Because I can afford 12 boxes rather than like 2 boxes of NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so it's just more, like you said, like the floor is what's important, but also playing the odds like that. You're not going to get crazy rich. Like, again, the ceiling isn't going to be as high for those massive hits, but you're not going to lose your ass. You know what I mean? If you get a bad case or a bad box. And that's what really hurts. For what I do is like, if I rip the wrong product at the wrong price, things like that, I'm just going to get buried. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What is the most recent box you've ripped, and what is the most profitable of these shitty boxes that you've had?
Oh man. So the most recent box I ripped was today, about 2 hours ago at my LCS. Shout out to Beast Sports Cards in Plano, Texas, the GOAT. I ripped a box of Panini 3 and 2 baseball, which was awesome.
Why?
It's a good product, man. It's a really good product. The veteran autos and like the veteran patches, all game used. Not something that not a lot of people know. It's $200 a box, so it's not crazy. You get really cool stuff. You got to rip a lot of it, I will say, to like counterbalance in the odds and all that. It's kind of like an all or nothing. So you do have to rip a lot. But that being said, it's Panini Baseball. They know that they don't, sell on the open market as well as the licensed stuff.
Nobody likes that shit. Nobody likes it. But, here's the thing though. Nobody likes it to your face, but when you send it to auction, it sells all the time. So there are people who are buying Panini Baseball. There are people who are buying Leaf Metal Baseball, which I'll get into in 1 second.
I just sold a Leaf Metal Baseball card today.
Dude, Leaf Metal Baseball, I'm telling you right now, was the best value product on the market. In the last 6 months, I ripped probably 2 cases. The checklist was ridiculous. And there was a lot of like the prospects, even the prospect cards, the guys that aren't like the true rookies in that set are all now up in the majors and performing well. Volpe, Jordan Walker, Bobby Witt, those types of guys. And so that product just happened to be a phenomenal checklist. So even if you didn't get like the hit, right? Even if you didn't get a great box, it was still a win just based on the price point, because you get 5 autos. They're all numbered. One of them is usually worth at least half the box, and then you kind of get like 4 other autos. That would be on like a floor box, in my opinion. On a good box, you were going to cover your money. You were going to cover that $100 off like 1 auto, and then the other 4, whatever. And then like on a really good box, you're going to like 2 or 3 or 4 extra money. And that was before grading. And so I think Leaf Metal Baseball has a lot of potential.
Interesting. I think that Leaf did some SEO shenanigans there by just throwing metal into a name of a product to get people to think it's cool. Do you think that's accurate? Like, I feel like that's kind of a scheme that Leaf loves to do, where they knock off old, other products and shit. And like, Metal Universe is obviously, one of the most highly sought after.
I'm not here.
Listen,
dude, I'm not.
You're not.
Oh, I kind of agree. But dude, again, I'm not collecting this stuff at the end of the day, right? I'm opening it to turn to make money, right? And so all I care about is like what. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean?
If it's profitable, like, have there ever been times where you're like, oh wow, this box was so juiced, I'm just gonna put another 1,500, and then another, and oh shit, I'm gonna buy every box I see. Have you had like to show restraint in that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So I mean, like that, the Leaf Metal Baseball was that way. Like I was at that particular day. You know what I mean? Like I was at the LCS, and I was like, "Oh, just give me a box of that. Just let me see what it is, right?" And immediately pull out 5 autos. That's all you get. You get 5 autos in a box. And I'm like comping these cards out. And I'm like, okay, I just doubled my money. So I was like, give me another box. Okay, you know what I mean? And it's like, okay, I got $70 auto here, and then these 4 I don't even care about. Give me another box. You know what I mean? Give me another box. So I going like that, and then I realized, okay, wait, like every 4th box is like a $200 card or something like that. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, okay, so if I really open volume, then I'm just gonna kill this on grading and all that. So I just said, go get every box you got. You know what I mean? And then we just sit there, and I let the staff rip it with me, and I'm like, okay, whoever pulls the best card or like can find the coolest dual auto and all that. And so we make it a game, and it's fun to be a part of like that community as well. But I literally sit there and
grading premium existent on Leaf Metal Baseball,
depending on the parallel and like the subset. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I sold a Kobe Mayo Leaf Valiant auto today for $20.
Nice. Yeah, Valiant, not great. Just gonna say.
Yeah, that's why I only did $20.
Yeah, that's why it's $20. Jason,
Valiant Blaze Jordan auto right here.
Nice.
Wow, sick.
But you see that this is his XRC though, so that's like his rookie.
Leaf throws that shit on everything. That's dumb. I'm done with this conversation about Leaf.
No, dude, I'm gonna explain. Like this one's Adley, and it doesn't have the XRC.
My favorite are the proof 1-of-1s where there's 10 of them.
Yeah, there's 100 million proof 1-of-1s of every
I think
card.
I have like 3 Grayson Rodriguez Valiant proofs.
But see, you guys are the problem. Like somebody out there, like you probably shouldn't have bought it. You know what I mean? Like you're never gonna get your money out of that. But if you would have ripped the box and sold it, some idiot like you guys would have bought it.
I bought them for $10 each.
Yeah, and that person had already covered the box price, and they just made $30.
There you go. And speaking of idiots, Jason, well, not to that was maybe a bad transition.
No,
but speaking of collecting and what people collect nowadays, what they spend money on, you say people are sneaky closet collecting Panini baseball cards, Leaf baseball cards. Max has a long-standing take that nobody collects modern basketball cards. And
I have a long-standing take on what?
Did that cut out? That no one collects modern basketball cards.
That is a take.
I mean, I think they're in comparison to like flipping them like 90s cards collectors, I totally agree. It's more, again, the business, right? Like the flipping side of things. But I do think that there are people out there who collect modern basketball cards, like binder collect like you do, or, but still build sets.
Something broke my heart that I heard. This is like a year or two ago, but someone auctioned off an entire silver 2017 Prism set, and it was all raw and it looked sick. And then the person just graded the Tatum, tenned it, and then it just like, I mean, it was good that it sold the entire cost of that set, but it's like, man, set breaks are such capitalism, man. They're so capitalist, anti-baseball, anti-collect. And truthfully, I mean, with most of these sets in general, even vintage, it's like, oh, you hear about set breaks. It's like people buy complete sets just to break out the singles, just to enjoy the set. It's like, it's a crazy cycle, man.
It is, and then somebody else will buy up all the singles and build the set. You know what I mean?
Lose money.
And then exactly. They'll sell it as a complete set, and then
Interesting.
It is.
But you see a lot. I think what I meant to get to, and the point was that at DCI, you see a lot of like collectors, what people are doing. You get a really good sense of what the market is on like a real person level, not like a Instagram 5 million follower type level.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, if trends that you've noticed since you started on the DCI wild road trips of the world, where you've been going to a lot of massive amounts of card shows all across the country. Like, what are some trends on the collector level that you've noticed from like since 2019 boom to now, and like before, if anything comes to mind?
Man, that's a good question. I would say the biggest difference is, I mean, obviously the landscape has completely changed, right? Like breakers control the wax now, right? I think a lot of that is good and bad for somebody who does RCRs, right? Like if somebody hits a card in a break, right? Like they're probably into it for way less than it's worth, right? Let's just say, you know what I mean? They get a cheap break spot and hit a big card, right? Well, your margin allows you to kind of grade it regardless. You don't really need an RCR, right? Even if it comes back a 6 or 7, you're only out $20, right? It's cheap to grade cards these days. There's no backup, tons of options. So from that perspective, like that's hurt RCR in turn, but it's also really helped slabs, because like now it becomes a turnaround type game and a reputation, value type game in the open market. On my side of things. But what I've noticed kind of a change in the collector side of things is that if you're ripping wax in bulk, still you really like, instead of only sending off the gold prisms, you're now sending off all the silvers, all the numbered stuff, all the, cards that, okay, even in a 9, you're going to break even. You know what I mean? But in a 10, you're going to make, even if it's $20, over a case, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to do it 100 times, that's a case. So like that stuff, we've seen come through more for RCR. That numbered stuff, the silver prism vets, the silver rookies, stuff like that. Where I've seen the like gold prisms, the numbered rookies, the big stuff that just goes straight to slab, if that makes sense. So like there's not really a need in the market right now for raw review for like the majority of, and I'm not saying like there's not a, faction of people out there who still break wax. But for the most part, they're breaking it for other people, right? Yeah. Not like personally breaking wax like I do or other people do, but so it just seems like the bulk sub is back is what I like to say.
The bulk sub is back. Max, I saw you did some bulk submissions lately, or you at least posted on Instagram that you were going to start submitting cheaper cards to PSA more often. What's your angles right now?
Say cheaper. I just more sense I'm subbing more often. But the problem fundamentally is that, and why I'm making that distinguishment, is that a lot of people don't like cheap cards unless they're sick. I think one of my I have to do my daily Instagram posts because I'm trying to grow on Instagram. But
it's not working.
yeah, Jason, I know. But with that in mind, I think I posted like one of the cards, which was only cheaper. A card that's been talked on this podcast a lot was the Lamar first pitch Topps Chrome 2016, which is a sick card.
Really dumb card. I agree.
Yeah, really dank or really dumb.
Dumb.
Yeah, well, I'm not the person that buys it. I'm just the capitalist that's trying to profit.
See, now you understand.
But it's like, okay, you submit it at $20 and okay, it's a $150 gem. Or those cryptocurrency cards from Jinter that are like $20-$30 raw. Good luck finding a clean one, but they're $250, $200 as a gem. So cheap, shitty cards, like there really isn't that much to send because no one wants your Joe Mosaic. People, like there's no one that wants your Sam Howell base Mosaic PSA 10. Or even your detail parallels. Or even probably most of your color too. It's just like the low number. So I've been rotating more to contenders autos.
So boring, honestly.
Now, something that isn't boring, like the designs of these cards, sick.
Yes, agreed.
I would do a full set of trying to collect the 1 to 200 or the 1 to 300 checklist of it, or whatever.
You have a new rule, Max. You actually have to say out loud what cards you're holding up when you hold them up, or else the people that listen to us on Spotify and Apple are gonna probably come and murder.
Sorry, I was enjoying myself too much this podcast with our worst guest yet. I'm holding an Anthony Stripe Prism and a Jason Tatum Blue Ice Prism. The designs are sick.
I feel like I'm killing it. So
what?
Far. I feel like I'm killing it. Let's take a pause really quick. How are we doing on this?
Oh, as you said, the bar's on the floor. As you said.
Oh no, we're killing it right now. This is amazing.
Let's keep it going.
Yeah,
fine.
But that's why it's like, oh, I'm gonna shut the fuck up and talk about vintage again. But it's like, well, even for some cases, you can buy the whole set, and it's like, oh wow, congrats, you have money, nerd. Other times it's like, oh wow, this is the first time a public sale has happened in 5 years. It's actually an achievement to buy the set, and there's people that actually care that it exists. They might be fucking weird and geriatric and in a nursing home, but they care that the set exists, which inherently makes me want to care about it. Not even for financial reasons, just because it's okay. There must be some dankness to it.
That's fair. I want Max you to do an analysis on your Twitter this week where you go back and research what packs of cigarettes cost back in the early 1900s, and you do a value rip of cigarette packs, and do like a 30 thread on Twitter about like, here was the best cigarette to smoke, value smoke.
Yeah, and then you should smoke that cigarette. See if you could find a pack of those cigarettes.
Some of them, they do exist.
I know. I've seen a Rothstein or Probstein.
Rick. Yeah.
Anti-Semite.
No, he rips. I've seen him do it on his Instagram, and he's a funny dude. I feel like he's kind of a funny guy.
He's awesome.
Yeah. Not as good as Brian Gray, though, according to Max.
Brian Gray's a real hero.
Let me circle back really quick because you said something that actually Max said something that ties back into what we were talking about earlier. Panini makes cool-looking baseball cards.
That's a good patch.
I
don't know who it is. It's who's like Sam Collier.
Cam Collier.
On like the Angels?
The Reds.
That's a bot. That dude is a bot. That's not a real baseball player.
It's not a real guy. Here, Kevin,
I don't buy it. I don't.
Kevin Parada.
No, also not real. That guy can't be real.
He's a pitcher, dude, or he's a catcher. I mean, Jackson Holiday. That's the thing. You get all the good names. You know what I mean? All the names that are in Bowman people are chasing. It's $200.
Did I hear correct?
Cool cards.
Did I hear correct that Panini can't make current baseball player cards anymore? Like this year, Panini Baseball products only have prospects
and legends.
Is that real?
Yes, I think that's correct.
I didn't know that. I am holding some sick Leaf Trinity autos. Gage Workman, my favorite pet prospect on the Tigers. Arizona State, right-hand man to Spencer Torkelson in college. Blake Walston. Like, these are sick. They're cheap, too.
Dude, I'm telling you, they're cheap. They're awesome patches. You'll be able to
sell them. These are like $4 each.
I think my main gripe with Leaf products that you guys are holding up, well, Leaf products mainly, not as much Panini, but also kind of Panini Baseball, is like, I actually kind of doubt the legitimacy of the patches, even when they say they're game worn. I guess I believe Panini more than Leaf, but just from what I know about Leaf and everything, and Jason, you don't have to comment on this as someone who still works in the industry, but I just doubt that this dude is actually buying game worn jerseys, putting these nasty patches into cards and selling them. I would way more believe that he's trying to scheme people by buying like second market, whatever, like an authentic game stuff. That Ted Williams patch is pretty sick, I will say.
And you can tell like the blue swatches are like wool.
Yeah, so those are legit.
This card was sweet. I was so stoked to pull it. Like that's another thing you can't pull. You know what I mean? Like it's just fun to pull a Ted Williams in today's product.
Like game war and Ted Williams card. That's rare.
Yeah, like this is it's not an expensive card, but Frank Thomas with two pieces of the bat. It's just cool stuff.
Max, what are you trying to show us right now?
I have some boxes of Topps Mini because we were talking about really shitty products.
I hate miniature cards. That's something about me.
What makes you loathe miniature cards? Can you relate to them too much?
Yeah, they make my hands look gigantic. That's what I don't like. It freaks me out. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I one time walked into a comic book shop. I saw that they had no cards, but they had tobacco top loaders, tobacco sleeve and top loader packs. Yep. And I was tobacco card ones, and I was like, why do you guys have these? Like, what's up with this? And the guy was the owner, and he goes, yeah, 5 years ago, a guy came into my shop wanting tobacco-sized card sleeves and top loaders. I custom ordered 200 of them.
And he never came back.
And this dude never came back to the shop. I walk in 5 years later. I buy both cases of them from him because I'm like, he sold them to me for $1 a pack of 10, awesome. which went for like, I could sell for like $5-6 or something pretty easily.
Right. Yeah.
And so that was one of my randomness, like out looking for cards, don't find cards, but you find a story about cards.
That's awesome.
That only exists in those types of weird spots like that.
For sure.
Do you go hunting, Jason? Like when you're traveling around, like I know that you go to like the untraveled targets and you had a lot of success finding wax during the wax shortages of the pandemic because you were going to weird places. Like,
right.
Do you like look for cards like that or had in the past lives?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. In past lives for sure. Like when COVID first hit, like the week of, you know what I mean? Like when people weren't going outside, I was like, I'm about to make so much money going to every Target in the area and just cleaning them out. Like, because everyone, you know what I mean? So I was just like, all right, here we go. Like, I don't care if I get COVID. Ronald used to joke. He used to because we would literally go on the road like 3 weekends a month. You know what I mean? Drive all over the country during the pandemic, like throughout the pandemic. And so Ronald used to joke. Ronald Gemmett cards.
They're everyone's favorite.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure you guys use him for RCR. Yeah. Anyways, he used to joke and would comment like, "Good luck on the COVID-19 tour." But we used to, so whenever we were on road trips, we would go, like you said, just kind of hit the no name town Walmarts and just find, whatever was left over. I kind of stopped when like the retail craze, you know what I mean? Like when you couldn't find stuff in like normal sized towns. I just gave up and was I just rip hobby wax. So that'll be, I'd rather rip less hobby for the same price.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like the retail craze was so weird.
Yeah. And that was back when retail was you could still hit stuff out of it that was decent. Now it's so watered down. It's it's not the same product.
Yeah, like you're ripping a lot of Panini, or at least you're around a lot of people who at least are ripping stuff nowadays. Like I feel like you literally can't hit a numbered card in a Panini. You can in a Panini retail product.
It's a completely different product. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Tommy, you hit that green fluorescent curry.
True. I did hit a green fluorescent mosaic Steph out of 10 from a mega. But that's a mega. That's a little different, I think.
Still
I don't know why.
No,
I
you need
agree.
to have the odds on the box.
One of my favorite things is
These are like $80 a box now. I'm like surprised.
That's so dumb, dude. Minis need to die in hell.
one of my favorite things to do though is, since we're talking about retail, is like figure out product by product which configuration is the one to go with. You know what I mean? Like there's a ton of that valuable information in that. Whether it's like the single packs of Pokemon or like ETBs, or I don't do much Pokemon, but I know like all the different.
I mean, Pokemon is bad just because you get destroyed on the Rips no matter what. It is mathematically impossible to win on Pokemon Rips.
Yeah, okay, but that's what I mean. Like, is it worse to get an ETB, or should I just get a single pack? Like,
everything is $5 retail for Pokemon, or $4.80 SRP. And the booster box, you sometimes like $4 SRP, but like all the packs have the same odds. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Max out here thinking that he knows more about cards than Jason.
No, I'm just saying, like they like, but like, okay, yes, the odds are the same, but like.
Well, no, I mean that's important to distinguish because like the odds in a mega box are not the same as the odds in like a blaster box.
No, that's true. Yeah, that is true.
I
guess that's what. Yeah. I guess, and Pokemon's a bad example, but like, but yeah, no, that's what I meant for like sports cards. It's better to know like hanger box versus mega box versus.
Yeah, I know. I mean, and that's why I'm just so tops now pilled, because it's like, okay, I get to buy it in bulk for $3 a card. All the cards are gradable. I can sell the base, maybe turn a profit on the base, and then every parallel is gravy.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, I had a great moment the other day in a Walgreens.
And gamble right now.
And Jason, tell me if you've had, and Max, also you, if you've ever had one of these experiences at a retail place where I was at a Walgreens, I go up to the card area. They had 3 products. They had Series 2 baseball, last year's Series 2 blaster, a Series 1 this year hanger, and then a prestige football fat pack. And there was these 2 dudes who looked around my age who were looking at the packs, and I could tell that they like didn't know what to do. They were just like talking to each other, like what, like clearly didn't know about cards though too. So I went up to them, and I just total stranger in a Walgreens, just I'm like, yo, like you guys want help or anything? Like,
yeah, dude, I do. So I do that at my LCS more than like at a Walmart or something like that, because I'm always there just kind of doing my stuff. And people will walk in and like be asking questions, and I'll just like kind of turn my head and answer. And they're like, who the hell is this guy? Like, dude, stop talking. Like, they're like, do you work here? And I'm like, no. You know what I'm doing? Like, I'm trying to help you. But yeah, no, it's funny. People are almost scared to ask, but it's like, I want to help as many of my friends and like random people get into sports cards, because like it just benefits me. You know what I mean? In the long run, you know what I mean?
It benefits them.
It benefits everybody. No, that's what I mean. But like, it benefits them. It benefits me in the long run as for customers.
I mean,
doing business the right way.
I mean, I think there's goodness in trying to find the plus EV rip. I mean, my betting retarded friends are like, dude, just find some plus EV betting. And I'm like, dude, that's so fucking cringe. That's so fucking terrible. Yeah. But something that I used to love was Walgreens tops hangers, because you would get, unlike the Walmart retail where you would get like 2 parallels per box, and a Walgreens hanger, you would get 6 yellows.
Yeah, the yellows were awesome.
And that would have half the print run of a gold. And you're getting 6 in a hanger guaranteed, plus your normal heads. That I always loved.
The Luis Roberts from that year.
Yeah, no, I quite literally have 30 of those hangers in my closet with the yellow.
Rip.
There's no one else there. I can guarantee you, there's no one else in the world that has that stash. I had a research grant that I got in the summer of 2020, and it was COVID, so it was remote. So I'd be grinding my like remote work, and then I'd just go out, Uber Eats driver, do my deliveries, and every single Walgreens I would pass by, I would go in and I would look for Series 2 hangers of Walgreens. They'd usually have 2 or 3, and then I'd bring them back with me.
Isn't it funny how cards like consume your life?
Yeah, it kind of is funny.
Yeah, it just and it happens to everybody over time. Yeah. Like it does.
Yeah. Do you scroll eBay, Jason, anymore? Like me and Max often are talking about our doom scrolling eBay. Is that part of your thing?
That is a that was a huge time. Like, I used to spend so much time scrolling on eBay that I had to like stop doing it almost altogether. So I do not buy single cards anymore. Like, very rarely. The way that I get my inventory is from ripping wax, right? So I just get it from a card shop or a distributor, or have somebody break it for me. But
interesting.
It's one of those where, so I don't necessarily,
but it was part of your game at some point.
Oh yeah, big time. And like, so still occasionally I'll hop on and like, I'll just get on and like look at some of my old searches and like the super rare stuff, see if anything's popped up from, you know what I mean? And that was what I really liked, is what I would try to like find stuff that literally was never available. You know what I mean? Like, and then when you'd see that little blue notification pop up on one of your saved searches, I was like, oh shit, this is a grail. You know what I mean? Like, somebody just put something so rare up that like, I want to see what it is, And that was my, that's what I like to do. I just like to see, like, window shop more than anything. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, ooh, is this under comps? Is this under comps? Because I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, the way that I make money on cards is through grading, not by like buying at 70 and selling at 80. You know what I mean?
And by grading NASCAR National Treasures.
Well, not that. Like, that's more of like a, but products that are ripped to grade products. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Another type of retail that I miss doing because it's not relevant is, I don't know if they have them everywhere, but especially in the Northeast, they have the Fairfield Company repacks.
Yeah.
You would get like,
the hockey ones are amazing.
Really, are they? You'd get like one foil card in the front of the pack, and then you get 2 packs, bonus packs in the back. The ones with cards always suck. Ones with packs, like, there are times where I found like you can. And the thing is, they leave it transparent so that you can look and see like what the packs are to an extent. And I see like green Topps package, and I'm like, yep, that's 2018 Topps Chrome Update. That's $25 a pack. I'm taking that one off the shelf.
Dude, I'm telling you, those hockey ones, I used to just go in and clear them out because Target used to carry them as well. And
but now all retail just sucks, so that when they take retail from 5 years ago, it's just, or 5 years ago would be good, but if they take retail from like 2-3 years ago,
yeah, it doesn't. Exactly. But like, okay, listen to the story. This is crazy.
Yeah, I know.
This is one of my biggest dubs in the hobby. And it comes when you said Fairfield, I was like, holy shit, I hadn't heard that in a long time. I ripped one of those hockey ones, opened them up, and the hockey ones used to come with like 10 different packs from like all years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And 15, 16, Series 2 or whatever was one of the ones with whatever McDavid's year.
Mm-hmm.
I pulled a McDavid Young Gun and got a BGS 10 and sold it for like $5,500.
Holy shit.
More than what they do now. I think.
Oh my God, it's way more than that now. But
okay, these two, like, I hold a PSA 10 in my hand right now of and it does like 3.
Yeah, that exact card. So I mean,
so just a card. I sold you one of these. I sold you a raw one.
I thought you sold me a rainbow foil.
No, it was raw.
No, a rainbow foil.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a base, or like a base.
Oh, you know what it was? It was. You also sold me. You did sell me one raw, but you also sold me one that was mislabeled as rainbow foil.
That could have been it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was, because we cracked it out and then I just sold it raw, I think.
Oh, was it actually rainbow foil or was it mislabeled?
No, it was just mislabeled.
Okay,
it was a 7. It was a PSA 7.
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a PSA 7 mislabeled as rainbow foil that we cracked out, and I was like, okay, it's just regular and it's an 8, so I'm just selling it raw.
That's crazy. I have to tell my one real Fairfield story real quick. Not to top, it can't top a McDavid Young Gun, but I one time got they had 3 packs of baseball cards, and then like whatever, 2 cards. I bought 3 of them because I saw they had 2019 Heritage. So I was like, we'll rip it. We'll see what we get.
You're like, yes, my favorite.
Such a good product. 3 packs of Heritage, 2019 Heritage, 3 consecutive boxes. All 3 packs had a Tatis-based rookie in it that I sold for like $30 or something.
That's so sweet.
All 3 of them in a row. I was like, what are the fucking odds of this? This is insane.
I mean, Jason, maybe you're the one person who's able to find it consistently, but for me, it just feels like plus EV ripping is just dead, just because the retail desire and base desire is dead. Like,
yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think it's a perfect example of why I would rather, like 2 weeks ago, go in and rip a $150 box and get 5 autos of leaf metal versus a $150 box of Series 2 jumbo and have 50,000 cards that I'm going to throw away when I get home. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. So there's that part. Like, I don't want to deal with base, and I'm right there with you.
Like, I'm thinking of like the 2023 example of Tommy ripping 3 Heritage packs and then getting 3 Corbin Carroll Heritage rookies. Like, okay, congrats. They're worth like $2 each. And if you send them in to get grading, you're going to lose money even if they 10.
Yeah, exactly. And so now, like, you know, just as an example, here's a stack that I've got here of like the 3 and 2, the
like
stuff that comes
cards?
the stuff that comes in like the inner packs, right? Every card is serial numbered. A lot of them are rookies, you know, legends and prospects, right? But every card's serial numbered, like A-Rod,
Every single one.
You know what I mean? Every single one. And this stuff, there's enough of it in here that will sell to cover, like if I send it all to consignment, right? Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm literally going to send every single one of these that I'm not grading to a consignment house to try to make up as much as I can. The stuff that is like, you know, the Frank Thomas, right? I'm going to throw this on Twitter. That way I don't have to pay fees on it or like move it at a show. The premium inventory I hold on to and I move in person, right? Whether it's at a show or on Twitter or Instagram, whatever. All of the non-graded like serial stuff, again, this is all going to a consignment house that I'm fine to take. You know, if this is a $5 card, I'll take $2 for it just to have it gone. And I want that $2 to keep moving into more product that I can then open up. You know,
and that's my favorite. My favorite eBay stuff.
Yeah,
like I love posting that stuff for. I mean, I do bins instead of auctions because you can get hooked on stuff like that.
I agree, but I just don't have the time, unfortunately.
No, exactly. But I'm I'm just in the saying of you do ripping stuff in volume, and being, you know, plus $20 if it heads, plus $0 if it nines.
Right.
That obviously profit every single time. In my case, it's like, okay, if I'm buying them at $1 and half of them sit, but the other half get binned at 10, then that's still profit in volume, individually not worth your time.
And but it's agreed, but that's also a great way to like build inventory. You know what I mean? Like if you're somebody who ever wants to own a shop, right? And you want to, you know what I mean? Like building inventory that way, like buying bulk lots like that at $1 a piece and then going through listing them individually for even $3 or $4. Like it's not sexy, you know what I mean? But your return on your investment every single time, that's how you pay the bills and then, you know, build your business.
Yeah. No, there's a local store that I'm buying boxes from at 25 cents per card, and it's not killer stuff, but it's stuff that is inventory, and that's
dude, and that's half of that, you know what I mean? Honestly.
Relating, you know, which is partly tied into, I hate to say the word vintage.
Oh
it's like, but you know, when it's like,
so I actually don't hate vintage. I'm for the record, I don't.
No, I do hate vintage, but when it's like random stuff like that, it's like most of the time when I hear, when I've read like random blowout forums, like threads over the years, like, I want to be a dealer. What do I want to be? And like part of the response is like, be completely emotionally unattached to your cards.
100%.
Be able to sell at the numbers that you need to be. Keep your PC cheap or small and still enjoy it. But in being more comfortable with inventory that both is sitting and that you have the leverage on, it's almost like collecting at a margin, but just having a sticker price on absolutely everything. And it works when there's items that are more scarce and not stuff that's like, okay, Mosaic draft picks, jersey number, University of Michigan player. You know, that's something that doesn't work and you just have to be unemotional on.
Exactly.
But for stuff that doesn't surface that people want more compellingly, that's where you have the big leverage.
Agreed, 100%. And that's, again, like you see the guys who are set up with 500 Justin Herbert autos, right? Or like 500 Mike Trout autos and they're all still raw. It's like from every year, from every set, it's like, that's because he bought every auto somebody offered him, you know what I mean? Like sold off what he needed to and then sat on the rest. And I tell people this all the time. cash flow is the entire game. You know what I mean? Whether you're ripping wax or flipping singles and grading or whatever, cash flow is the trick to doing it well.
But all right, Jason, you mentioned earlier like talking to people outside of cards and like how you got into it. You just wanted some baseball shit.
Yeah.
And I feel like while cash flow is the game for people deep in the card game, to an outside person, it's really hard to convey like, hey,
sure.
like you rip a pack, it's like, hey, that card you just pulled is worth $100. But by the time that you take the time to list it, sell it, I mean, especially if you like are a normal person in the middle like of nowhere,
right.
You have to sell it online. But in order to sell anything online, you have to develop some sort of online reputation for selling and being trustworthy and whatever. It's like the barriers to you getting that $100 for that card that you just pulled out of a pack that you paid $10 for might end up you feeling like at the end of the day that you put like $150 worth of your time to getting it sold. You know, 100%. I feel like that's hard to convey these days.
I agree with you. And that's why, I mean, for my, it's hard because like I will literally sit at my card shop on a weekend and just rip wax like prior, like you'd see people doing prior to 2019 with like, I don't rip high end wax, right? I'm ripping leaf metal baseball, but like I'll rip 40 boxes of it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, to somebody who walks into the LCS and sees that and they're like, well, what should I rip? I'm like, well, nothing really, because like you don't have the outlet for it, like you shouldn't rip. You should just buy one card that you like. If you're looking to buy a box to pull a Tatis, you're not going to pull them. You know what I mean? If you want an Ohtani, you're not going to pull them. So don't waste your money like trying to go and pull it. Like just go buy it. You know what I mean? And don't worry about like if it goes up, it goes up. If it goes down, it goes down. You know what I mean? That's kind of the part of it. But like, don't worry about all the other shit and trying to recoup. And it's hard. You have so many people there are so many ways to do this, right? Like in my, I know that grading allows me and like how I, do like rip wax and on, the floor value and all that stuff. And like with consignment and all that, that's my lane to make money in this hobby, right? I'm not the guy who's going to be walking around at shows buying at 70%. Like I'm not that negotiator. You know what I mean? Like I'd rather go around and just pay sticker price and give you a high five and be like, sweet, look at this cool card. You know what I mean? Like I don't care. But at the same time, when I'm selling cards, if somebody comes up and is like trying to look, negotiate and all that, like I know because of grading, I know what I'm into the card for, right? And what I can take on the card. As long as you're over that, like I'm good. I don't need to squeeze out every dollar of every card that I've graded, right? Now, obviously, depending on the product and how I did, it's going to vary. But like, if you're, I want to leave Max room to then go and sell the card, right? Because then he's going to come back to me and buy more of my cards.
Sell me more cards.
Good business. And so I'm comfortable with my margins, like creating the margins from grading and selling things that way. And like buying, I don't really buy graded cards. If I do, it's not, again, like I'll probably lose money on it just because that's not my game, right? Like I'm not the market predictor, negotiator guy. You know what I mean? Like I'm creating the value with the grading and I'm comfortable doing it that way,
So the real question is, why did Topps scum you so hard, not including you in the big league set?
Dude,
do you have a comment on that? Not being included with such legends as Geoff Wilson, market mover extraordinaire.
I will say that I would be honored to be on any list with Slab Strong Tim.
Yes.
And I'll leave it at that. But I think it's a cool idea. I think they kind of missed the mark.
To say the least.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah. Slab Strong Tim, you're the best. I love you.
That one though, DCI route review that card or get it DCI slabbed.
Yeah, it's actually getting slabbed. It's in the process right now. It should be done and on the timeline next week.
Yeah, I'll make sure I'm there right to see it as soon as it's published.
Okay.
Well, that's
I
Max.
will.
You have post notifications on. I'm gonna finish my story about my Walgreens real quick.
Yeah.
So this guy, he goes, I really like football. I like the NFL. Like I watch the NFL more, but like I also like baseball. And I was like, all right, would you rather have like a Trevor Lawrence rookie card or like a Wander Franco rookie card? He's like, definitely Trevor Lawrence, like all day. And I'm like, all right, well, if you're ripping a baseball box, you're going to get so many randos that you've never even heard of. Football, you'll get guys that you know. I don't know if you're going to get the like $8 worth of cards from the pack. I can't guarantee you that, but you will get cards of guys that you know way more in this football pack than in this baseball pack. So I think he ended up ripping the prestige, whatever football. And this dude didn't give a fuck about the value, just like kind of wanted to rip a pack of cards. Talking to people outside of the deep, deep world of collecting is something me and Max talk about a lot. It's like, how do you explain what you're doing to your friends who don't know what the hell a refractor is or whatever? The ripping part of things is really tough for me because as like someone who just like spends a lot of my own disposable income on like random like Steph Curry cards all the time. Right. I do rip, and I always tell my friends like what I'm doing is not. I would never tell you to do this. You know,
I 100% like. So we were and so like I am fortunate to be able to like again. I want to help as many people get into the hobby and profit ripping wax if that's the route that they want to go. I'll explain how you can go about doing that. Good example was at a show in San Antonio 2 weeks ago. One of our team members is a little bit newer to the hobby as well, asks, and he's like, hey, let's go. I've got $100. Let's go get a box. I want to rip something. I don't even care. I don't care if I make money on the box. I want it to be fun, but I don't want to get killed. You know what I mean? Like I want to make something back, like a decent product. So what we did was we went and bought a $55 hobby box of Heritage Minor League. Okay.
Good rip.
You get 2 autos per box. You get numbered stuff. It's a fun product. It's a hobby box, which is, the odds. He pulled out a Luis Rodriguez like variation auto to 7 to 25. And he sold that card alone for $55, right? So he was into the rest of the box for free. And so I was like, see, dude, like but like all he wanted to do was go spend, he wanted a $95 select 2020 football hanger. I'm like, dude, listen, that's a $30 box. It's a $30 box when it comes out, right? The market says otherwise now because it's been 2.5 years. It's got good quarterbacks, all this stuff. The odds of you doing well on that and like that's, you know what I mean? It's going to be all of your money, first of all. You're never, you have to hit a Herbert or a Burrow or whatever.
Yeah.
And select is different. But I was saying like your dollar cost average on a hanger box at 95 versus like a hobby box at 55 is terrible, right? And so that's what I was explaining to him, but it also didn't make sense because I was ripping 2013 select baseball with the intention of just doing nothing with it. You know what I mean? Just for fun, like because I like the product. And because Arenado's got rookies in there. But I was explaining to him, I was like, this is a $200 box that I'm going to get $15 worth of cards out of. You know what I mean? And I know
doing it anyway.
And I know that, and I'm going in and doing it anyway. So it's like, that's the entertainment value and like the collector side of things, right? Where like a lot of people would be like, fuck that. I'm never going to do that. That's just a waste of money, right? Like I get it. It is to them, right? But like to me, it's entertainment. It's relaxing. It's blah, blah, blah. It's easier for me to, and for me personally, I do have an outlet to, send off the autograph and get $20 for it or whatever. Not be a total loss, but like if he had done that, it would be a total loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Like I think something I throw in there when I'm talking to my friends about why I'm ripping, I'm like, if I pull a card, no matter what nice card I pull, like it could be a random dude, if it's out of 25 or something, I will almost always know someone who's going to be so hyped to see this in their DMs. Like someone who will want, no matter who the guy, like team or whatever, it's like, oh, some dude is a huge, especially on Twitter. Like I know people who collect like every team basically. And if I pull anything cool of any team, I know who I'm hitting up. And that's one of the best things that I love about like
for sure
being active on social media and stuff, especially.
The community is the best part, and that's like I think I made a post, last year at the National where I met Max. Like I was there for a whole week, the biggest card show in the world, and I didn't buy a single card. Literally, I didn't buy a single card at the National, right? And that was intentional. I was there to hang out with people. I was there to network, and I was there to build relationships. You know what I mean? And I can't even explain to you like how happy I am that I did that, right? And like it wasn't a financial thing. It was like I could have gone and continued to buy and rip wax and do whatever, but I decided, hey, like I'm not going to spend money on cards. I'm going to spend my time like with the people in the hobby, and like build this community that will allow me to then sell cards, later down the line as a living, for a living. You know what I mean? And so it's more of a it can be, you can make it as much, or it's what you make it, right? Little, as much or as little as you want.
That, Jason, is almost exactly what you told me in Vegas when I was working for Ludex, very much thinking about, being in the hobby as like my long-term career. And like, I'm not saying I'll never go back to that, but like now
Sure.
that I have changed jobs, I feel it's just like a little different about like where I was at the time. But I was like asking, I knew that you were a chill guy. We hadn't known each other like too deep or anything, but I was just like, yo, like, what's your advice as someone who like loves cards, loves like collecting stuff, but also, the world of like being friends with everyone is a little tough. You can't like respond to every single person's DMs all the time, but like you still want to have goodwill with everybody. You can't really have beef or whatever because if you're working like for a company that you're looking out for like the reputation or whatever.
Right.
And the whole like the relationships side of things is really what I feel like I took away from that, was like you saying how valuable like relationships can be in the hobby comparatively to like if you're just in some other like industry or whatever.
Listen, I come from the restaurant industry. I know great people from the restaurant industry, and they're people that I hope to keep in touch with. But it's the hobby, like the type of person that succeeds in the hobby and is active in the hobby, whether it's just on social media, like in a community aspect, or like in a, hey, I'm making bank, like flipping cards kind of way. You know what I mean? Like those people have some wiring that, a lot, like, I don't know what it is, but the network of the hobby is so strong. You know what I mean? Like you connect to powerful people, like no matter what industry they come from, those people were like really well respected in that industry, if that makes sense. In my experience, like it's like, okay, the best people, I don't know. There's something about the hobby that like attracts, I guess I would say smart people, but it's one of those things where like you could leave the hobby like you did and probably, rely on your hobby connections to go and get your next job, or like, go and get situated in some new city or something like that. You know what I mean? And that's the nice thing about the hobby, whether you want to sell cards or not, like you have a really strong network of people.
Yeah, for sure. When I was working for Ludex and I'd sit at that booth all the time. Am I cutting out a little bit, Max? Give me a thumbs
No, you're
up.
perfect. You're crystal.
All right, nice.
I wish Max would cut out.
Me too.
Get that a lot.
These teenagers would always come up to our booth, or I'd see them, at these shows, or they come and start bantering, or like people who don't know shit about cards, but they were kind of on the younger side. Like I would always tell them, number one, be nice to every single dude that you meet, an older person that you interact with on social media. Like never be a tool. Always be like super gracious, well respect, like act like you've been there before, done that in the business level, and like always be true to your word and shit, because you don't know who these people are. These people could literally give you your job that makes you all the money that you ever make in your life. That's like a very, very real possibility to go down here, like no matter what industry you want to get into. So
that's exactly
I feel
right.
Like it's a slept on part of the hobby, in my opinion.
I agree. And I think you look at Max, right? You would look at him and be like, man, this guy's disgusting. I mean, disgusting.
The hair, man. The hair right now is tough, Max.
And you'd look at him and you'd think, there's no way that guy makes more than 10K in donations a year, right? And the reality is he's crushing it. You know what I mean? And like I've watched since 2019, like firsthand, Max grow this business and this platform and his brand, right? As much shit as everybody gives him, myself included, right? Like to where if you don't know Max and you walked up to him at a show, you'd probably give him shit, right? And then he'd open his case and you'd be like, oh shit, like I just, messed with some like the wrong guy. You know what I mean? It'd be like, oh shit, this guy's actually like knows what he's doing. He's respected. So it's like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? If you're like, there's 10-year-old kids walking around with $150,000 in their case, right? Like it's crazy. And then there's, people who are 60 and above who only want to collect dollar cards. You never know someone's backstory. You never know what they're into their card for, where they got it, how they got it, blah, blah, blah. So you just always treat people how you'd want them to treat you, right?
It was very nice, Jason, outside of that.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to go get a haircut.
Yeah.
I feel like, first of all, Max, the best thing about this podcast is that you get a real progression of how longer your hair gets. And I love looking back at our older episodes and you see like short hair Max.
It's going to get cut soon, probably.
Is this episode better than Mace's episode? That's all I care about.
Mace's episode? I mean, first of all, long live Mace.
Agreed.
33 card shop. I hope he's
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Collector Mace. Everything we talked about in that episode is probably a lie these days for him. We'll see though. There's no shot he makes it an hour and 16 into an episode, so I feel like we're pretty chill to say whatever we want right now.
No way. Yeah, there's no way.
There's no fucking way. Well, Jason, I have deep appreciation for you just as a collector, person, life, just in general. Appreciate you coming on the podcast, giving the people some knowledge that I hope some of the things you said today you've never said on any other card podcast, because I know you've been a guest on almost every podcast in the hobby at this point. What do you think?
Not Hobby Night. It's coming this week, Wednesday at 8.
Okay, I'll be there.
Hey man, I really appreciate the sentiment, and likewise, look forward to working with you in and out of the hobby, like for years to come. And I'm happy to finally get the call to come on Young Old Heads episode 56. So apparently 55 other episodes that needed to get done before this, but I'll take it. Whatever. Hopefully I get on in the next 100 to 150 at some point.
We'll come back on when DCI releases their Black Label 10. You'll come on, justify it, say that it's really essential to the industry that there's a Black Label 10, and as opposed to
you will never hear me say that ever. Ever.
Well, you heard it here first.
But I appreciate it.
My last note. You'll never hear a serial killer or like some sort of creep who also collects sports cards. You'll hear that about creeps that collect other things, but not sports cards. And I think that's something to remember as you fall asleep tonight, in my opinion. Max, do you have any parting words?
I gotta go get a haircut.
Go get a haircut.
So